And you see they're up close because Treadwell has been going with the short kickoffs, trying to pin the return men to the boundaries, the sidelines. This time down the middle from the 10, it'll be Lynn James, the former Bengal. And that seam closed in a hurry at the 25-yard line. Randy Robbins, the extra defensive back in their dime package. The first one down there as we look at the Coors Light halftime stats. Almost identical, Dan.
Well, it is identical, and probably the thing that jumps out to me is that Cleveland's able to convert a little bit more on third down. And that's something Denver's done very well this year, but so far Cleveland has been able to convert on 57% 4 or 7 times, and that's the one that's been able to keep those drives going.
Bernie with 93 yards in the first half. Kevin Mack cutting the gap nicely against the grain after starting to the right side, finding the hole in the middle for 5 to the 30. Michael Brooks in on that stop. So the Mack truck with 5. And we look at the first half possessions with the Cleveland Browns. Their only touchdown came as a result of a turnover. That interception by Figaro setting things up at the Denver 37-yard line. It only took 4 plays for the Browns to get it into the end zone. Back again. He's got the first down into the secondary across the 45 to the 46.
Well, you see that offensive line starting to wear down that Denver front. They're able to go ahead and pound and pound and pound away. You see Mack trying to get some of that mud out of his face mask. Well, look here at Babb working on Craig, and then they get some help over here from Rienstra. They wall him down. Brooks is over pursued, unable to get back. Mack is able to run over a lot of guys in the secondary. But I don't know how much he likes hitting these big safeties for Denver. They're pretty fine players.
First down from the 46. Bernie on first down, mixing things up and batted down by Greg Cragen. Well, they felt going into the game they could get some batted down balls, some tip passes because of the sidearm delivery of Bernie Kosar, and Cragen got in his line of sight.
Well, that's another school of thought about, of course, get your hands up, block the passes, but instead of rushing where Kosar is, a lot of times you think about getting between where he is going to throw the ball and rush over on his right side. That was actually Holmes, the right defensive end, number 90, turning the corner, being able to bat the ball down. But that's the thing. You've got to get in his vision and then get those arms up. Otherwise, he'll pick you apart.
So 2nd and 10 from the 46. Leroy Hall with a huge hole and spun down by Michael Brooks. It would have been a first down because he had another 10 or 15 yards up the middle. Instead, it's a gain of about 4.
Well, that's almost the exact same play that Mack busted earlier on this drive. They're walling down that defensive line. They're trying to get some movement and get those linebackers flowing, and then cut right back off of the left guard's tail, and you're pretty much one-on-one with a safety there.
Can they convert on third down? We were just talking about that, Dan. 3rd and 6. Close to the midfield stripe.
Look for the hard count.
Bernie has it batted into the air, and it falls incomplete.
Well, Mecklenburg gets a good rush. Simon Fletcher gets a good rush from the outside. And that's the way you stop offenses on third down. You've got to get rushed. Now, Denver secondary has been playing super this year, but their guys up front are getting some rush. Here you see Mecklenburg starting at his right tackle position. Go ahead and run a twist with Kenny Walker, the rookie, able to get right in his face.
Man, it was another tip for Ron Holmes. The right defensive end. Hansen spirals it out. Good distance. Will it die inside the 5? It takes a Cleveland bounce, and it doesn't reach the goal line.
Well, I don't know if that's legal.
Now they're saying, wait a minute, they say it did touch the goal line.
No, the player cannot get in the end zone, cannot be in the end zone and stop the ball from coming in. You've got to stay out of it. And I believe they were saying the one that called the ball, that got the ball stopped and down, was already in the end zone.
So it will be a touchback, a break for the Broncos. They'll have it at their own 20. Ready to go from their own 20 after a big break with the ball. touching the goal line, Gaston Green for 2 to the 22. Only 36 yards, Dan, in the first half rushing with the team that ranks 8th in the NFL, the Denver Broncos, running the ball in the first half of play.
On that last punt, we talked about how a player cannot go down for the punting team and stop the ball from coming in. Here, you'll see 37 was in the end zone with his knees down when he first touched the ball. Obviously brought out to the 20.
Second and 8 from the 22. Elway has time. Now it collapses. He's scrambling and gets good yardage across the 25 to the 29, but don't forget he's working with a sore right shoulder. And the Broncos cringe every time they see those linemen fall on him.
Well, Michael Dean Perry, I could talk about him every play. You'll see the center carts turned on him, trying to get some help on him. He still creates a big problem, creates a seam where Elway has to run out. If you make John Elway run, I think you're doing a lot better than when up the middle. You're doing a lot better than if you try to force him outside of the pocket where he can throw the ball. Usually he'll try to run it if it gets up through the middle.
Sewell's in the backfield with Elway on 3rd and a yard. Elway over the middle. It's complete to Johnson for the first down. Out to the 38 of Denver.
Well, Vance Johnson is a guy that was injured a lot early, and now he's starting to get a lot more playing time. And you know, you hate to think that any quarterback's got a go-to receiver, but I just think that Elway's got a lot of confidence in Johnson, especially on 3rd down, because Vance is one of those guys that's always able to make a big play, and a guy that's usually going to catch the ball when he needs to.
First down outside the 37. Pocket collapses, and Elway on his way down gets rid of the ball. Avoids the sack. Sewell was in the neighborhood. They want grounding. They won't get it. Ernie Logan had him around the ankles.
Well, Logan playing at right defensive end position just bull rushes the left tackle back, Davidson. And you'll see Elway here seeing Michael Dean coming up the middle, making something happen. That's what forces Elway out of the pocket. So once again, Michael Dean Perry is making things happen, even though his name will never show up in a stat. He's the one that's responsible for that loss.
2nd and 10 for Elway and the Broncos. Misdirection for Gaston Green. Wrapped up. Songa Pulitelli got him from behind after a gain of just about 3 yards. So those 3 young pups faring quite well against the veteran offensive line of the Denver Broncos. Songa Pulitelli, the rookie from San Diego State, their 4th-round draft choice, native of Honolulu.
Well, they like those big guys, and, you know, Belichick has got the same type of mentality about defensive linemen that he did in New York. He likes big, strong guys that can two-gap. Well, they're showing they can rush the passer some, too.
Only 44 yards on the ground for Denver. Kevin McAlone was 71, 3rd and long for Elway. Johnson's got it. Will he get the first down? No! Sure-handed tackle. And making the big play, that was Stephen Braggs. Check that. Hilliard, not Braggs. 39 instead of 36.
Well, 36, Braggs was brought off the left side in a corner blitz. You'll see him come from the right of your screen, creating a problem for Elway. It says, hey, somebody's got to be hot from where that guy came from. Well, they were able to get good tight coverage on it and keep him from the first down.
Moran gets it away. And angles a high spiral towards the sideline. Slaughter taking it out of bounds at the 16. So the Broncos picked up 1 first down on that possession, their first of the second half, but then couldn't do a thing with it. Cleveland's got it back when we return, tied at 7. Coming up next is the second half of our NFL doubleheader. Is it a preview of the AFC title game? Could be. The Buffalo Bills and the LA Raiders, and others will see the New York Jets and the Detroit Lions. At Cleveland Stadium, it's 1st and 10 at the 16 for the Browns. They're even at 7 with the Broncos. And Kosar has time and almost threw it right into the hands of the linebacker Mills. He wanted Leroy Horde and really got lucky. Well, we were talking about The importance of the game for the Browns just to stay alive in the wild card playoff picture. Now for the Denver Broncos, if the Jets lose a little bit later today to the Detroit Lions and the Denver Broncos beat the Browns this afternoon, they have already locked up a position in the playoffs. At worst, they'd be a wild card team. The last thing they want to do is finish in the tie first, though, with the LA Raiders, because the Raiders have already swept the Denver Broncos this year. Bernie has missed his last 4. 2nd and 10 give. Leroy Horde. Check that. Joe Morris takes it out to the 18 for a couple, and that is all as we look at the Hurts 10-minute ticker. Pittsburgh finally on the board as the Eagles get a touchdown. Kansas City still having their problems offensively. They only scored 16 in a win at Seattle last week. Willis with a field goal and a 6-point Dallas lead now. Chris Jaffe with a late field goal to bring the Packers within 8 of the Bears in Indianapolis, surprising New England. Under 8.5 left in the third. 3rd and 8 in the war of field position, a critical 3rd and 8. Otherwise, the Browns will have to punt it close to their own goal line. Goza with the pocket collapsing on his way down, Simon Fletcher. That makes it 8.5 sacks for Fletcher now over the last 8 games. He's been red hot.
Well, this guy, he doesn't get the credit he deserves. You know, we talked about Mike Kroll, the kid that's not playing today. But I think Simon Fletcher is their best pass rusher. And you watch him, he usually beats big guys. Here you see Mecklenburg working on the left tackle, creating the problem there. But Fletcher, he comes on the left side, and he usually turns that corner as well as anybody in the league from that side.
Hansen now punting from his own goal line. Should be good field position for Denver, barring a turnover. As Vance Johnson waits back at the 40. Line drive returnable type for Johnson from the 40-yard line. And he breaks 1 tackle, taking it close to the 49. So the Broncos get it back in great field position for their 2nd series. Their 2nd possession of the 2nd half. Tied at 7 with 7:34 left in the 3rd. Number 98 in the dog pound. And the dog pound, Dan, I'll never forget. A couple of years ago doing the game here in '89, they were a factor because John Elway was pelted with dog bones, as well as the referee Tom Dooley. Tom Dooley turned the 2 teams around and had the Broncos going in the opposite direction. In that game, Matt Barr won it in the final play of the game for the Cleveland Browns. They set up. It looked like an over-the-middle screen, and it's dropped by the tight end Clarence Kay, and he was wide open. Elway almost dropped back like he wanted to set up a screen.
It was a screen. What that play was an option screen. They have a bunch of different things that Elway looks at. If he gets a good rush, he'll go ahead and throw it to the tight end. You'll see Case slipping out to the left here. You see him crossing right there in the middle. When you're a tight end, you know you're looking at the screen. You see about 5 guys chasing the quarterback. You're thinking, hey, there's nobody to tackle me. I've got some yards to make. Well, he lost his concentration and dropped the ball.
The Broncos waste this incredible field position. Elway with the hard count, got Michael Dean to jump off. Flags onto the play. A 3 down for Elway. Can he get rid of it, though? No! He is sacked by Michael Dean, the man he got to jump off sides.
Well, Michael Dean knows that if he doesn't tackle Elway, it could be an awful bad play by him. There's certainly, he likes to get a quarterback on the ground, but it's a free play. A lot of times the defensive lineman will just kind of pull up, say, hey, forget it. You'll see Michael Dean jumping right there, trying to hit that seam. Now, all those guys want to get Elway, but nobody wants to get him worse than 92.
Defense, the right end. Still 2nd down.
So Michael Dean jumping offside. I remember John Elway telling me he feels like he can average at least 2 times per game getting Michael Dean Perry offside with the hard count.
Well, Michael Dean talked to those young guys, those rookies playing beside him. Jones and those guys said, hey, late in the game, especially on 3rd and long, he will get you. He drew me off 4 times in 1 game. So watch out for that hard count by Elway.
2nd and 5 from the Cleveland 46. Gaston Green close to the first down marker. About a yard and a half short. Down outside the 42-yard line.
Well, we're seeing something today that we really haven't seen all year by that Cleveland front. Is we're watching Michael Dean jump around, make plays. You'll see him right here being blocked on a quick trap on a block back by Karts, the center. They lead it up in there. Now, normally, up to this point, that young defensive line has almost put the handcuffs on Michael Dean, making him 2-gap, kind of stay home. But today, it looks like they're saying, okay, you can go back to that penetrating style that made you so great the past couple of years.
Third, a little more than a yard. Gaston Green. Second effort, got the first down. He was bang right at the line of scrimmage, but fell forward to the 40-yard line for a Denver first down, put down by Michael Dean and Eric Turner, the safety.
We'll take a look at it. This is what the running back sees. You see a bunch of big bodies coming at you. Now that is a great job of Gaston Green hitting up in there on third and short. You know, normally he's a speed back, a guy that you want to give it to on first, second down. That's a great job of showing that hey, you got some toughs. I can bang it up in there with the big guys.
I was about to say, nobody will question his toughness.
No way.
First down outside the 40. Gaston Green. Playing off the block, the defensive back nicely. Hilliard over on the opposite side of the field.
You know, we talked about how soft that field is. You're starting to see how the fatigue of that field and that surface is starting to play on those big guys.
Is it like quicksand?
Boy, I'm telling you, it's like running on fudge. I mean, you just have to have a lot more energy and strength to kind of stay upright. You'll be slipping, and it's kind of like running on a sponge. And man, those big linemen late in the game, it'll be a big factor, especially for Denver.
And Pleasant right now taking over for Ernie Logan. To your point, illustrated by a fresh body coming in for Belichick. Gaston Green almost broke the big one. Put down inside the 35 at the 34-yard line, coming up about 3.5 yards short of the first down. Richard Brown making the hit on his former teammate. They were both Rams together.
Well, what we're seeing now is Denver has gone away from that kind of, hey, knock those guys off the line type of blocking scheme. Now they're running a lot of quick traps. They realize they can't knock that Cleveland front back. What they're trying to do is create seams by back blocking and trapping.
Look at the Hurts 10-minute ticker, 3rd and 4. Sewell's in there, the third down specialist. Elway just gets it away in time.
That's got to be...
They won't throw a flag, though.
Drowning there, Joel.
They did not throw a flag, Dan, as the two defensive backs, Braggs and Hilliard, got in.
When they run that double corner blitz, John Elway usually will recognize it and get the ball to someone, but those corners came so fast, he was unable to find somebody to unload to.
And now they're going to go for it, Dan, instead of trying a long field goal with David Treadwell, who's only 2 of 7 in field goals between the 40 and 49. Now they're going for it on 4th and just about 4.
Well, they've had an awful lot of problems with their field goal kicking team. They've had a bunch blocked, and I think Dan Reeves says, hey, I'd much rather John Elway have the ball in his hands than try to kick it.
A timeout is called by the Browns. They have to use one early in the second half. We'll be right back. 1-yard field goal attempt for David Treadwell. Instead, Dan Reeves will go for it with Elway on 4th and 4. It's tied at 7 with 4:16 left in the third. And Elway is going to punt it. Will it find the end zone? Yes! And a moral victory for the Cleveland Browns.
Gosh, I gotta love it. Will this game go down as the punt, the quick kick, the fumble, the interception? I tell you what, this series brings out the best in these coaches and these teams. I have to confess, that caught me by surprise. I don't know if that's what they wanted to do when John Elway went to the sidelines, but I think that if they could have had a little bit better coverage, that would have been a terrific play for the Denver Broncos.
So now first down for Cleveland at the 20. McEnhort again in the backfield. Will they now try to go back and establish the ground game? Ford goes in motion. Kevin Mack for 2 to the 22. And let's head to New York now to an update with Bob Costas.
All right, the Oilers pour it on at the Astrodome. Here's Warren Moon capping a quick 6-play, 94-yard drive with the 16-yarder to Haywood Jeffries, who tumbles in, and it looks like the Oilers will clinch the AFC Central today. They lead at home in the third over the Steelers, 17-3.
Thank you, Bob. Under 4 minutes left in the third at Cleveland. It was tied up at halftime. It stays that way. Cleveland has had success running the ball, but they really haven't made that commitment to the ground game consistently. Now they've got a 2nd and long, 2nd and 7. Kevin Mack banged in the backfield. He loses a yard. And it was Greg Craig in the nose tackle, the first one to get in.
Well, Wade Phillips, the defensive coordinator, has now got Steve Atwater, the free safety, right up on the line of scrimmage. You're not going to be able to run against that Denver defense if they bring those safeties up there, because they're like extra linebackers. Dennis Smith, Steve Atwater, I think is fine, a combo in the entire NFL. They play like linebackers. They hit those big backs when they come up in there. I think Wade has done a terrific job of working different schemes in for different offenses.
I asked Dennis Smith yesterday as we see that secondary, and there's number 27, Steve Atwater. I said, you found the fountain of youth. Talking to Dennis Smith yesterday, he said, well, fountain of youth is number 27. He makes it exciting back there for me again. 3rd and long, 3rd and just about 8. The snap to Mack. It doesn't fool the Broncos this time, though. Only to the 26. So Shea handling the stop. So 3 snaps and out for Cleveland. And in that battle for field position again, a lot of pressure on their punter to get a good one off.
Well, you got to give that Denver defense an awful lot of credit, except for the drive after the turnover. They've been perfect so far in this game.
Vance Johnson waiting back at the Denver 25. The wobbler. Johnson will take it on the move. Again, great field position for the Denver Broncos. They didn't capitalize the last time when they started with the ball at their own 49-yard line. This time, they will have it at their own 46. To remind you, this telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, and it's intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Cleveland Browns and the NFL is prohibited. This game is the property of the National Football League, Denver Broncos and Cleveland Browns. All rights reserved. Oh, we've been talking a lot of defense today with big number 99, Dan Hampton. And don't forget, 2 great defensive units getting together a little bit later today. Second half of our doubleheader. Buffalo matching up with the LA Raiders at the Coliseum in Los Angeles. From the 46, first down for Elway. Underthrowing Michael Young as it skips in. An incompletion. Songo Pulitelli coming into the face of the quarterback once again. These 2 defenses have been incredible in the second half. In fact, the Denver defense for Wade Phillips and Dan Reeves, they've held the Browns to only 1 first down so far in the 3rd quarter.
Well, I just think they went in at the halftime, and both these teams are very similar. They had very, very bad years last year, very dismal records, and they said, hey, we're going to go to the plan B, we're going to draft well, and we're going to rebuild. And they rebuilt around very good defenses. Both defenses have controlled this ball game up to this point.
2nd and 10. Elway going deep and overthrowing the Teal. He had a step on the defensive back Hilliard, but Hilliard right there. You bring up a good point, though. Who would have believed after a 5-11 season last year for the Denver Broncos, a 3-13 season last year for the Cleveland Browns, that these 2 teams would be playing this late in the season with so much at stake?
Well, I think it's a great story. You know, Dan Reeves is a guy that doesn't get a lot of credit. You know, he's brought 3 groups to the Super Bowl, and obviously he hasn't won any. But, I mean, a lot of coaches would give their IT for that kind of a record. And he's done a marvelous job this year. I think he should be AFC Coach of the Year. 3rd and 10 from the shotgun for Elway. He's got time. Now he's flushed out. And scrambling, he's got the first down. John Elway does it time and again. He picks his spots and comes up here with the first down. Well, we talked about that fatigue starting to set in. Well, there, Michael Dean had an angle on him. In the first quarter, Michael Dean probably would have caught him. But you'll see Elway look like a racehorse running against a plow mule. Now, Michael Dean is as quick as a lineman as you'll find. But there you see Elway just pulling away. And that's the thing. You got to go out there and fight 2 guys. If you're Michael Dean Perry, you got to fight 2 guys all day in this mud. Well, I tell you what, it wears you out in a hurry. You'll see him coming off here. He's gassed. He needs a break. It's to the 43 of Cleveland. First down, Denver. Misdirection, Gaston Green. Flag down on the play as he spins to the outside for 8, but the flag down in the area where you normally see a holding call. Well, Gaston Green is trying to make something happen. He's been a great story. But when you start dancing like we saw Gaston there, what that does is those offensive linemen see those defensive guys start getting up, looking, watching the back, and they don't know where you're going. So they're just going to start clamping on.
68 offense. Still first down.
It's called on Crawford Kerr.
Well, Crawford Kerr, the left guard, is doing a pretty good job today. You'll see him here. He comes off. He's got a pretty good block right there. But now when they start this dancing, he don't know where he's at. Well, he says, hey, I better make sure I get a hold of this guy in case he's outside, inside. They don't know. So when you start that dancing as a back, you put your line in a bind.
Still towards the end of that play, he still had a piece of James Jones, number 96 jersey. First and 20. Back in Denver territory. They set up the screen for Robert Perriman. And it doesn't go far. Good pursuit.
Well,
Richard
Brown did a super job of just throwing his body in front of a truck there and getting that thing split up where they can get to the ball carrier.
Looking at the Hurts 10-minute ticker. Finally, a Lowry field goal. Gets points for Kansas City in the third. They trail by 11 at home. Houston on their way to wrapping up the AFC Central title. And other scores.
It looks like Michael Dean's back in, Joel. This is going to be very crucial down here at second and about 14. Can't let Elway out of the pocket.
Green in motion. Elway's in the pocket. Perriman's got it. And the completion good inside the 40. All the way down to the 36-yard line. And that will be our final play of the third quarter. So a very physical confrontation, another classic between Denver and Cleveland. And at the end of 3, it is still all even. All about being double teamed on the line.
Well, Michael Dean gets this every play. You'll see he's starting to look like a pinball out there. He swims Kerr, then he gets into the center carts, and then Kerr comes back, gives him a shot. Bang, boom, pow. He needs to have some bells on him there. They'll maybe tilt him if they keep hitting him like that.
Can they keep the drive going? Started at their own 46. It's 3rd and 4 from the 37 of Cleveland. 4 wide receivers for Elway. A ton of time, and Vance Johnson has the first down to the 30. Great protection for John Elway.
Well, we talk again about that fatigue. Michael Dean's getting double teamed. Those other guys, those rookies, need to start growing up. And, you know, if you got a guy that you know is going to be double teamed every time, if I was another defensive lineman along that line with Michael Dean, man, I'd play for half the salary, because if you're one-on-one in this league, this NFL, you should feel like you can beat that guy 70% of the time. Well, right now, those rooks need to grow up and start beating somebody one-on-one.
Broncos have to start capitalizing on the great field position they've had in the last 2 drives. First down from the 30. The pitch to Green. Good pursuit down the line. He's got 3 down to the 27. Interesting, now they're trying to get Gaston Green to the outside, away from that sloppy part of the field between the hash marks.
Well, not only that, but, you know, we talk about how you wear those big guys down. Well, now you'll see Michael Dean here. Normally, he'll just skate down along the front of that guy. But now he's a little bit slower, a little bit more beat up. The tackle's able to scoop him. He's not going to be a factor now, where in the first quarter he would be able to get out there and make something happen. Don't think he's not in shape. You go out there and you get 2 or 3 helmets on you every play, you'll wear anybody out.
Second, a little less than 8. Elway with a bullet, complete for the first down to Vance Johnson. He's been his favorite target today. Johnson with a touchdown pass last Sunday in the first quarter. That started the roll for the Broncos over the Patriots.
Well, I just think Elway and Vance Johnson have a great chemistry together. Of all the receivers on this team, Vance has got by and far the most touchdown catches in his career. And I think when it gets down to this fourth quarter type crunch time, Elway's going to look at Vance Johnson.
First down now from the Cleveland 18. Gaston Green going nowhere. They stacked it up well over the right side.
Big Rob Burnett, number 90, did a good job of just stalemating that offensive tackle, Lanier, not creating a seam there for the back, Gaston, to get through. That's what they like about this group of defensive linemen. They're young, sure, but they're big and strong, and they can two-gap. Now, a lot of folks don't know what that means, Joe, but two-gap means, hey, you got the inside gap and you got the outside. You got 2 gaps. A lot of defensive linemen, you only have to play one side of the guy. Well, here, they make them play both.
The numbers inside the red zone for the Browns defensive unit. They have not had a great deal of success. As Elway is thrown on second and long. Has Clarence Kay. Flag down on the play. Touchdown Denver. Will it stand though?
I believe it will. It looks like Clay Matthews got beat on an inside move by Kay and tried to tackle him.
Was he shoved off by Clarence Kay though?
Well, look.
Pass interference. 88 offense.
Sure was.
Just second down.
We're going to take a look at this and see if we can get a little bit better feel of it.
Kay is saying he was retaliating for a grab of the jersey.
We'll see Kay and Matthews on the right of your screen, 57 there. Now, we really can't tell. But I'll tell you what, if you beat Clay Matthews that cleanly, you may have done something wrong because he's one of the finest in the league. Of all the players I've watched over the last 12, 14 years since I was in the league, I think I respect Clay Matthews as much as any player because he is just a consummate pro. And you see Dan Reeves. Dan Reeves can't believe it. But that's a long ways away from Coach Reeves. We didn't get a good look at it. And you can tell he didn't like the way it looks to him.
Second and 19. Back at the 27. Inside give to Steve Sewell. And he's wrapped up by Figueroa. So a break. And now the Browns trying to keep them way out for a field goal try for Treadwell.
Well, that's a big break. Getting that call on Clarence Kay. Now, a lot of times there's a fine line. I know Minnesota used to do a great job of running into our defensive backs and linebackers and just kind of like busting off of them and creating some separation. Well, it looks like Clarence Kay locked up on Clay Matthews, maybe pushed a little bit too much and got called for the infraction.
3rd and 16. They need to take it inside the 8 for a first down. Pressure on Elway. Still has time. And the ball headed in a strange direction off the hand of John Elway. They wanted a flag for grounding. They don't get it. Belichick can't believe it. Now it's going to be a field goal try coming up for David Treadwell. A flag is down on the far side, though, and it goes against Denver.
Correction. Illegal contact. 31 defense.
Wrong call by Greer. He pointed towards Denver. Now it goes against Frank Minifield, who did not start because of a ligament problem.
Contact. 31 defense. First down.
He's only in there today on the nickel for Bill Belichick. An automatic first down on the illegal defensive contact.
Boy, that's a big play there. You've got to think that, hey, Denver had a bad call against them. Now Cleveland has a bad. So, hey, we'll just line it up and do it again. Act like it never happened this last 3 or 4 minutes. But if you keep giving John Elway this many shots at you inside the 20, he's going to hurt you.
It's been a long day for Elway and the offense as they operate from the 19. Out of the backfield, Perriman. He's about 4 short of the first down. Matthews, Brown, the 2 linebackers on the stop. Perriman, a great blocking back, a Plan B signing. This drive has been going forever, and it started, believe it or not, at the Denver 46-yard line. This has taken a ton of time off the clock as well. Under 11 minutes left in the contest. The delay for Gaston Green. Matthews has him from behind. He's short of the first down by more than 2. Check that, just a yard and a half now for a Denver first down.
Well, we're starting to see how that fatigue's getting those guys. Watch them get up. It looks like they're in slow motion. They're just getting wore down physically. You'll see Michael Dean here hand fighting, trying to get off of Crawford Kerr, the left guard, getting washed back a little bit now. Normally he's a guy that's a point of attack player where he's an anchor. There you see Kerr able to get a little bit of movement, getting him up there closer to that first down marker, which is about a yard short now.
And when you talk about the Cleveland defense, they do not have the depth that the Denver Broncos enjoy defensively. They don't have that many bodies to bring in with the tired linemen. 3rd and a little more than a yard. Elway. It's complete, and a first down for Shannon Sharp to the 5. Nifty move after the catch.
Well, that's John Elway in his experience. He walks right to the line of scrimmage and runs that bootleg, catches the Browns a little bit in a lull there. They're not even hardly set. A lot of times you'll get those guys who'll stand up and they'll try to chase the ball thinking they're late. That's a great call by Elway.
So now a 1st and goal from the 5.
You see Elway starting to show some of that fatigue.
Gaston Green met in the backfield by Matthews almost before he took the handoff.
Once again, I've talked about this guy and Michael Dean Perry all day. And when you think about the Browns defense, you got to go back and look at these two guys and what they've done today. Clay Matthews has made play after play. And just a few minutes ago, he was on the sideline. I was watching him. He was completely out of gas. And then he comes back in on this crucial series and makes this kind of play. That's super. He's just crashing in from the outside, gets the back in the backfield.
2nd and goal. Flags into the air. Johnson has it poked away. Hilliard does the job. I thought I saw somebody lift up early on the offensive line.
Well, they're down in that closed end of the stadium. The crowd's been a factor all afternoon. More than likely, somebody popped up a little bit early.
Motion, 82, offense. Still 2nd down.
It was the wideout, Vance Johnson. So they take the penalty. It'll be 2nd down, 2nd and goal all over.
Well, Randy Hilliard did a super job on that fade. Now, that's a tough
they wanted
pattern.
to decline the penalty, actually, but the official marked it off. The Browns are saying, wait a minute, we want 3rd and goal. We don't want 2nd and goal outside the 10. Belichick, 5 yards onto the field, signaling declined.
Correction on the play. We had illegal motion on the offense. It's declined. The pass was incomplete. 3rd down.
Thank you, Johnny Greer.
Well, that's a smart decision because, like I said earlier, you can't give Elway this many shots at you.
The place kicker, David Treadwell, ready if they can't punch it in on 3rd and goal from the 6. Under 9 minutes left. Touchdown, Vance Johnson. He was working on the safety, Vince Newsom. And the Broncos finally take advantage of the phenomenal field position they've had on the last 2 possessions. And now a demonstration penalty coming up.
Well, you can see Elway, hey, you give me enough shots, I'm going to hurt you, folks. And that's exactly what happened. Cleveland can never get out of the way of that gun barrel, and it catches up to him. You'll see Elway, he's not even looking any other way. He knows who he wants to go to, and we got a demonstration penalty being called now against the Denver Broncos. But, hey, that's pro football there, folks. I mean, a quarterback, believing his receiver, can run away from a safety like that. That's a great matchup. Elway's going to take it every time.
Treadwell on. Let's see if he can maintain his footing in that area of the field. He does. And it's a 7-point Denver lead. I told you it seemed like it took forever. Well, the drive started back at their own 46, but it took better than 8 minutes for Denver to finally find the end zone. 54 seconds left in the contest. Better than 8 minutes on that drive. But covered only 54 yards. And it'll be Joe Morris from the 11. Morris out to the 30. Boy, would they love to have Eric Metcalf back right now to return kickoffs. He's been injured. Due back, and he could be activated as soon as next week. As now, Bernie and the Browns will get it back at their own 30-yard line.
Well, I think it's important for that offensive line to realize, hey, if we're going to get this thing done, we're going to have to make sure we keep Kozar standing and able to see. His vision is going to be important on this drive because Denver's going to bring a bunch of guys up and try to force everything. So that offensive line needs to really play well to get this drive underway.
It's the 4th time the Browns have had the ball in the second half, and this is their best field position to start a drive. As Houston pulls away from Pittsburgh in the 4th. Kozar in trouble, dancing his way, dumping it off, and a flag down on the play. Cragen signaling like he was held by the center, Mike Babb.
Well, normally that's the way it would go, but that's exactly what Cleveland didn't want to see. Denver able to beat them in a pass rush situation. Denver went with a 4-man rush.
61 offense. Still 1st down.
It is called on the center, Mike Babb, his second tour of duty for the Cleveland Browns in his 10th year from Texas.
Well, Babb's a good center, but I tell you what, when you're lined up on Cragen all day, he's going to get his share of the meat because he is the player that plays every down like it's his last. A lot of times those centers, they'll get a guy that he'll only play in spurts. Like Cragen, he'll line up.
First down all over again. First and 20 from the Browns 20. Kevin Mack on the carry. Doesn't net even a yard. As we'd like to welcome those of you that have been watching Pittsburgh and Houston. Joel Myers along with Dan Hampton, and welcome to Cleveland Stadium. Balmy conditions. Hard to believe we're in Cleveland. Almost 60 degrees in Cleveland, Ohio this afternoon. And a 14-7 lead for the Denver Broncos with 8 minutes and 16 seconds remaining. Denver just scored on a 54-yard drive that took almost 8.5 minutes off the clock. A couple of penalties kept the drive alive for the Broncos. Now they're looking at second and still close to 20. The dump off for Kevin Mack. Fletcher got him around the ankles. He's short of the first down, but takes it to the 33. Kenny Walker got him finally.
Well, that's a big play there. Kosar gets a three-man rush with a little late blitz here by Brooks on the outside. He sees everybody locked up underneath. He says, hey, I'll just dump it to my back. He checks through. That's Kevin Mack. He's able to get some good yardage back, and now instead of being 3rd and 20, it's only 3rd and 7.
Updating you now on the Budweiser 10-minute ticker. Tight one in New Jersey. And now the Bears pull away from the Packers. A 7-point Denver lead. 3rd and just about 7. Ernie's got time. Kevin Mack, his receiver, won't pick up the first down. Put down by the quarterback Tyrone Braxton at the 38. Nice open field tackle.
Well, there's a decision to be made now by Bill Belichick. He's going to go ahead and punt it away.
Which you'd have to think is the right decision because he still has plenty of time and 2 timeouts remaining.
Well, his defense has played pretty well all day. They've given up a little bit of a drive there in the first part of this quarter, but you've got to go with your defense because they really have done a good job today, except for that last drive.
Hansen booms it away to Vance Johnson. You barely can tell that's Vance Johnson. The way his jersey is covered in mud. And he takes it in cleanly. That's the only thing clean right now there. Not Vance, but the ball at the 14-yard line as we'll be right back to Cleveland. Denver's got it back. Pass has had problems with the dog pound. In fact, in a game here, 1989, Elway and referee Tom Dooley were pelleted with the dog bones from the dog pound. They actually changed ends. In that game, though, Matt Barr won it on the final play for the Browns with a 48-yard field goal. Now Elway operates from the 14, first down, leading by 7. The delay for Gaston Green. And he gets just about 2 for the 17. That is all. It was a tough day for Gaston Green last Sunday. Only 7 yards on 14 carries for the 5th best rusher this year in the NFL, 3rd best in the AFC, but some tough yardage. Those 47 on 20 carries today and a couple of key first downs on those attempts.
Well, I just think Gaston's maybe been like the focal point of the great story about the Denver team this year. Here's a guy that was maybe wasting his career away in Los Angeles, and now he comes in here, he's a superstar. 2nd and long.
Elway's got the pocket holding up, going for the bundle for Steve Sewell. Got away from the defensive back. Got away from Newsome and has it inside the 25 of Cleveland. Flag at the end of the play.
That is incredible. Now, who would think that you're going to put a guy like Sewell on just a go pattern down the sideline on a corner? I tell you what, that's what is amazing about Elway. He changed personnel packages, and then he goes with this play here.
Face mask. 22.
That is just
defense.
You can't throw a better ball than that.
First down.
And, you know, here's a guy that took a shot into that shoulder last week because he's having so much discomfort in it. And here he is late in the game able to air it out like that.
And you saw the face mask by Vince Newsome at the end of the play. Now, who would you rather have at quarterback in a clutch situation? Because I bring that up, Dan, John Elway came into the game ranked 9th among AFC quarterbacks. And you'd have to believe you'd rather have John Elway in there as opposed to O'Donnell and some of the others that are ranked ahead of him in the statistical rankings.
Oh, this is where this guy thrives. He's the best in the business probably in this situation.
First down, Gaston Green between the two tackles for a couple. Down to the 16-yard line. And now with the clock moving, only 5 minutes remaining in the game. Essentially, the Broncos can put it away with a field goal.
Well, you can tell this guy's had a hard day at the office. They've been holding him, chopping him, double teaming him. Now they look like they're tearing his number off of him. And, you know, you can see the fatigue there. Now, I don't know how much money Michael Dean makes, but believe me, he has earned every penny of it today, because without him, they wouldn't have had near the game on defense.
You know all about double teaming. You double teamed most of your career. Frustrating day for Michael Dean. Gaston Green put down to the 15. A gain of only a yard. And don't forget, coming up the second half of our doubleheader, is it a preview of the AFC title game, Dan? Buffalo and the LA Raiders.
Well, I just think that the Raiders right now are playing such great defense that they're going to be pretty tough for anyone to handle. And I know Buffalo's got an offense that I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it. But this time of year, I think the Raiders are really getting strong on D.
They've got to get their quarterback going, Jay Schrader, and others will see the Jets and the Lions. Now, don't forget, if the Broncos hang on and win today and the Jets lose at Detroit, Denver is already in the playoffs with at least a wild card spot. 3rd and 7 now from the 15. The pitch to Gaston Green. Just back to the line of scrimmage, and that is all.
Going to call a timeout here. Try to get the clock stopped.
Now, this is not a gimme, the problems that David Treadwell has had this year with his place kicking. He's had a number blocked. He's had problems with getting it up into the air, some low placements, some low kicks. And when we come back, we'll find out if he can get his footing between the hash marks to make it a 10-point lead for the Denver Broncos. So an extra point block. Now, can he hit a 32-yarder to give the Broncos a 10-point lead? Yes, but there is a flag on the play. Yes, it goes against Denver.
It looks like someone inside flinched. One of those defensive linemen kind of lunged right there before the
Ball
snap.
start. Left guard. Still 4th down.
Well, like we talked about earlier, if you give John Elway a lot of shots at you, he'll hurt you. Well, Treadwell, he's got to be thinking, hey, how many of these can I make if we back up too many times?
And don't forget about the soggy turf between the hash marks at Cleveland Stadium. It's been a problem for the linemen all day long. Let's watch his plant foot and see if it stays put.
Well, if you're a Cleveland fan, you want to see those guys really get some penetration in there and get those hands up. That last try, they didn't really come off the ball. See if they can get some penetration and get those hands up.
This time from 37 yards out. Treadwell gets it up in fine fashion, and the Broncos go up by 10. So Treadwell comes through in the clutch. He has now made 25 of 33 on the season. The second halves this year have not been kind to Bill Belichick and the Cleveland Browns. They've lost so many close ones and given up big leads in the second half as well. This was tied, though, at halftime at 7. But as you can see, they have been doubled in the fourth quarter by the opposition so far this season. And if they're to have any chance at making a wild card spot in the playoffs, they've got to pick up 10 points over the next 3 minutes and 29 seconds.
Well, we talked all day about how young this team is. Got a lot of rookies, a lot of guys, that 27 players that weren't on this team last year. So, you know, late in the game, you're going to have to make adjustments. And the more experienced you are, the less adjustments you have to make. Well, that's the thing. Late in the game, some of that inexperience comes to the front, and you'll be outscored. You'll give up some drives. You'll give up a big play like that one on Sewell down the sideline. So, you know, that experience is a big factor late in the game.
So now the pressure back to the Cleveland offense. And they have really had problems in the second half this afternoon. In fact, they've only been able to pick up 1 first down in the second half, as Joe Morris, the former Giant, will bring it back from the 9. Good blocking for Joe, and good field position for the Browns to the 44.
Well, little Joe Moore shows that, hey, I'm not ready for the scrap heap yet. This guy, he's got an awful lot of quickness, and he should be a very good guy on returns because he's very nifty. Does a good job following his blocking. At this point right now, it's just like being a running back running behind your offensive line. The scary part to me is be catching that ball when those guys are coming at you like missiles. Once you get past that first wave, then you kind of revert back to your old form.
Talk about a team that's really had Bernie and the Browns number. The Denver Broncos have taken 11 of the last 13 from Cleveland. Will it be 12 of the last 14? Out of the shotgun from the 44. Over the middle looking for Brennan. Out of his reach at the 30.
Well, that's a good try there for Bernie Kosar. Got some protection, so Brennan flash over the middle. Led him just a little bit too much. Brennan trying to lay out and get the ball, but, you know, this guy right here, you got to love him, especially late in the game. He's so smart. If Denver comes up with their safeties, tries to do some different things, he can take advantage of it.
2nd and 10 from the 44. Fletcher forces him out, and it's almost intercepted. Almost picked off by Atwater. The young man that went to Arkansas, native from St. Louis. But there is a flag where you normally see a holding call.
Well, Simon Fletcher was able to get some pressure, force Bernie up in the pocket. Then, when that happens, those defensive linemen change directions, and the offensive line a lot of time will be called for holding then.
Holding, 66, offense. Still 2nd down.
Well, that's Tony Jones, the left tackle, who's having a hard day here working against Carl Mecklenburg. There you see Mecklenburg go down. Then he has to go out and check on out here to Brooks coming on the outside. And it was obviously just a pull down.
The Broncos take the penalty. It's now 2nd and 20. Snap right to Kevin Mack. They've done it 3, make it 4 times now today. And he gets 9 yards on the carry.
Well, Kevin Mack's a big guy. They have him there to block. And, of course, you know he can run the ball. The direct snap, they run a little bit of misdirection, like a quick trap up there, get some good yards.
3rd and 11. Kosar has Brennan over the middle and throws it behind number 86. Langhorne and Brennan in the same area.
Well, that's uncharacteristic of Bernie. He had a good view of what was happening in the middle of the field, just made a bad throw.
2 minutes, 41 seconds left, and it all boils down to a 4th and 11. And Bernie trying to get his offense up to the line in a hurry before the Broncos can make defensive substitutions. Robbins for Kosar. And he's on his way down, and so are the Cleveland Browns. Jeff Mills, who's filling in for Mike Kroll, picks up his 2nd sack of the afternoon.
Well, that's the story of the day. The Denver defense was able to control this thing because they were able to get up on those receivers and get the coverage and let that pass rush get to Kosar. I mean, that wasn't a great pass rush, but there was such great coverage. Mills able to fall off and get Kosar after he had to try to scramble.
So Wade Phillips with all that depth. He lost to Mike Roller, a linebacker last year. He had problems filling it. Not this season, though. They've got so much more team speed defensively as well. That'll come for Bill Belichick in his first year as the head coach for the Cleveland Browns. They picked up those 3 that started today on the defensive line. Songa Bulatelli along with Logan. And also James Jones. A young team that is only going to get a lot better in a big hurry. Robert Perriman for a couple. And the Browns will use their 2nd timeout of the 2nd half. So they've got 1 more timeout. They'll also get help from the 2-minute warning. As we'll be right back to Cleveland Stadium with Denver in control by 10. Appointment for Bill Belichick. But there's so much to be positive about this year as they'll fall to 6-8 with the loss today. That's Perriman again. But what frustration every time they match up in a critical situation with the Denver Broncos losing those championship games, 86, 87, and 89. But now at least they know the head coach is going to be here. Like Bernie Kosar told us yesterday, 4 head coaches for him in 4 years. Now he knows Bill Belichick is here for a long, long time. We have reached the 2-minute warning in Cleveland. The Denver Broncos on their way to raising their record to 10-4. VP, and that's John Elway of the Denver Broncos, throwing for better than 200 yards for the 2nd straight week. Avis, the official car rental company of the NFL. And Dan, Michael Young may have put it best, because when John Elway is calling his own plays, you can sense the excitement. Everybody is so alive in the huddle. The 2nd straight week, John Elway calling his own plays once again. Taking a break as there was movement on the line. Looked like the Browns jumped off, flags into the air. But again, Elway, anytime there was a critical 3rd down, he was calling his own plays, using his own personnel, bringing it in. So we check in with Johnny Greer.
Defense. Still 3rd down.
Well, we've seen Elway do pretty much everything today. He punted the ball, he called his plays. He had Sewell out on a streak. I mean, this guy, he was the MVP without a question.
The Budweiser 10-minute ticker. So we get ready for the Bills and the Raiders. Or you'll be watching the Jets and the Lions. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Terry O'Neill. Our coordinating producer of NBC's football, John Ferratzis. Our producer today, Glenn Adamo. And our director, John Gilmartin. Our associate director, Dick Ellis. And our production associate, that Florida Gator, Bill Herbstman. Robert Behrman on 3rd and short. He's right at the 1st down marker.
Well, obviously the defense players for Cleveland are kind of down. They played pretty well today, but you got to give it to Denver. Their defense outplayed everyone.
Let's take a look now at today's Canon camcorder replay of the game and the points they needed. Up by 7. John Elway going to Steve Sewell.
We talked about Elway and how he was important, had to display all his offensive personnel and managing the packages and different things. There's something you don't see an awful lot of. Bringing Sewell out, letting him run a streak down the sideline. That was basically the play that iced the win for Denver. So, Elway, not only is he a great athlete, but he's got such a great feel for the game.
Well, if he's throwing the ball like that with a sore shoulder, the rest of the players around the NFL, the D-backs, they don't want to see him when he's 100%.
Well, I think it was Mike Young that said, hey, a 70% John Elway is better than 90% of anybody else's quarterback. And I tell you what, if you watch the game today, you can start to believe that.
John today, 16 of 29 for 221 yards, 2 touchdown passes, 1 to Johnson, 1 to Michael Young. And now 4th and inches. 17-7 lead for the Denver Broncos. And Behrman diving over for the 1st down. And now the Broncos, of course, hoping for some help from the Buffalo Bills so they can take over sole possession of 1st place in the AFC West. They are getting help right now from the San Diego Chargers, who have a 14-10 lead over the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Chiefs started the day a game back behind the Raiders and the Broncos.
Well, there's a bunch of young guys on the Browns sideline, obviously disappointed, but, we saw the Browns play last week when they handled Indianapolis 31-0. And I tell you what, Belichick has done such a great job of going out and getting some Plan B guys, drafting a great rookie class. And I'll tell you what, this team's going to be someone you have to challenge next year for this division.
You can't lose sight that this team last year was 3-13. And at one point last year, benched Bernie Kosar in favor of Mike Pagel. They've made a major turnaround already in the 1st season under head coach Bill Belichick. So Bernie and the Browns suffer a disappointing setback. That is the 12th time they've lost in the last 14 games against the Denver Broncos. Once again, that final score, the Broncos win it by 10. And what a day for John Elway. Critical 3rd downs, he came through in the clutch every time. Sounds like the same old song and dance, but he spoils us with his consistency in the clutch. A 17-7 win for the Broncos. Joel Myers along with Dan Hampton. Thank you for joining us from Cleveland. We'll be picking up Bob Costas in New York for the Old Spice NFL postgame report.
7.